stop, addicted to the shindig. Chop top, it says I'm gonna win big. Choose not a life of imitation. Distant us into the reservation. Defunct the pistol that you pay for. This punk the feeling that you stay for. In time, I want to be your best friend. Eastside love is living on the west end. Knocked out before you better come to. Don't die, you know the truth is some do. Go write your message on the pavement. Burn so bright, I wonder what the wave meant. White heat is screaming in the jungle. Complete the motion if you stumble. Go ask the dust for any answers. Come back strong with 50 belly dancers. The world I love, the tears I've tried to be part of the wave. Can't stop. Ever wonder if it's all for you? The world I love, the trains I hop to be part of the wave. Can't stop. Come and tell me when it's time to. Sweetheart is bleeding in the snow cone. So smart, she's leading me to ozone. Music, the great communicator. Use two sticks to make it in the nature. I'll fit you into penetration. The gender of a generation. The birth of every other nation. Look your way, the gold of meditation. This chapter's gonna be a close one. Smoke rings, I know you're gonna blow one. All on a spaceship persevering. Use my hands for everything but steering. Can't stop the spirits when they need you. Mob tops are happy when they feed you. J butterflies in the treetop. Birds that blow the meaning in the bebop. The world I love, the tears I drop to be part of the wave. Can't stop. Ever wonder if it's all for you? The world I love, the trains I hop to be part of the wave. Can't stop. Come and tell me when it's time to. Wait a minute, I'm passing out, win or lose, just like you. Far more shocking than anything I ever knew. How about you? 10 more reasons why I need somebody new, just like you. Far more shocking than anything I ever knew. Right on cue. Can't stop, addicted to the shindig. Chop top, he says I'm gonna win big. Choose not a life of imitation. Distant us into the reservation. Defunct the pistol that you pay for. This punk the feeling that you stay for. In time, I want to be your best friend. Eastside love is living on the west end. Knocked out before you better come to. Don't die, you know the truth is some do. Go write your message on the pavement. Burn so bright, I wonder what the wave meant. Kickstart the golden generate hub. Sweet talk, but don't intimidate.
All right, hold on tight, guys. We'll get started in just a couple minutes.
Feel no need for any interfering. Your image in the dictionary. This life is more than ordinary. Can I get you maybe even 3 of these? Coming from a space to teach you of the Pleiades. Can't stop the spirits when they need you. This life is more than just a read through.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our Mobile App Academy, where we show you how to build and deploy great mobile experiences on the ServiceNow platform. My name is David Ha, and I'm an outbound product manager here at ServiceNow. I also have here Fu Ho with me from the ServiceNow team, who will be leading today's session. And we want to give a warm welcome to everyone joining us here live today. Based on popular request, today we're going to be doing a live building session leveraging the native QR barcode scanner that will be used on the Now mobile app. And in order for you to be successful, we recommend that you leverage the mobile implementation guidebook that is posted on our mobile community in the featured content section. This guidebook will help explain the hierarchy of our mobile apps so that you can be successful in building and deploying your own custom workflows to your end users. Most of the workflows that we build can be used built using Mobile Studio our low no-code mobile designer tool. And although today we'll be doing some of the advanced configurations, it will require navigating outside of Mobile Studio using Platform UI. And so in today's session, we'll be doing just that. We'll walk through an end-to-end mobile workflow on a New York instance, configuring both inside Mobile Studio as well as outside Mobile Studio using Platform UI. And within today's workflow, we'll be covering the following. On the Now mobile app, we'll start with an out-of-the-box experience that's readily available to use upon plugin installation. And to add to this out-of-the-box experience, we'll first configure a quick action on my home screen to create a new instant. But we will configure this new instant action so that it will also allow me to pull up my QR barcode scanner so that my end users can use it to scan an asset to report that it's broken. So if an employee had a broken laptop, for example, they will be able to use their device's native barcode scanner to take in the barcode of their laptop when creating that new instant. Okay. And then for the second use case, we'll improve on this flow by introducing an advanced configuration that will require some scripting. And in this use case, we will configure a scripted action that will validate whether or not the asset is available in inventory prior to requesting for a replacement. So that will be the end of today's workflow. Okay, so for this live building session, it will last about 60 minutes and we'll shoot up on wrapping up at the end of the hour. If you have any questions throughout today's presentation, feel free to send them over in the Q&A section of Zoom. And at the end of the session, we'll circle back and address them. And to lead our session for today, we have a guest speaker. His name is Fu Ho, and he is a solution architect here at ServiceNow. He's one of our mobile gurus with extensive experience building ServiceNow mobile apps. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Fu so we can get started.
Thanks, David. Let's start by creating a function. So as David mentioned, we're going to create a very simple use case using no code, and then the second session will create a scripted one. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you guys can see that. So here on my left, I have my mobile phone. And what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a little demo. So I'm going to refresh this guy. Oop. Oh, we got to get rid of that guy. So we're going to start by building a quick action on up here. Okay. And so let's go to Studio, and we're gonna build this from scratch. And let's go to Studio. And we're going to use our guided app creator to help us out, creating all the fundamental components. So let's call this mobile asset validation. Oh, it's already taken. So let's do two. Scope is already taken. Okay, we'll just do QR. Let's see if that works. All right, so we have our scope, and we're going to just give ourselves admin for now. And we'll select mobile. And what this will do is, let's give it a table. And let's create it. And so what this will do is just create all the components that you need to build your mobile experience. And it's right there. That's your scope. So here it is. And so we're not going to build an applet, an app launcher. What we want to do is we want to build a function, an action item, and a function, and then get out of Studio, because Studio we can only build stuff for the agent experience, and we will have to get out of Studio and configure it on platform for the Now mobile app. So I'm gonna close this real quick, open up again, and I'm going to create an action item. So go over here. So let me blow this up real quick. And I want to create an action item. And here we're just going to say, let's call it a report broken laptop. And we're going to do an incident on the incident table. And we're going to change it from this type. We're going to say a new one because we're going to create a new incident. And we're going to hit save. And once you hit save, you notice that the item parameter shows up. And we're going to create two item parameters. So one is going to be called, let's call it asset. And it's going to be a string type. Okay. And next, so if you click on this, it's going to show up. Next, you create another asset, another item parameter called short description. You can close that, and we can refresh this, and you'll see both of them here. So once you create the item parameter, you want to map it to this the fields on this table. So on this incident table, we want to say short description is to short description. And for the asset, we need to store it somewhere. So ideally, what you want is on your incident table, you want a field that stores the asset. But since this is out of the box, we don't have it. We don't have that field. So I'm just going to store it on the description for now. In a way, you can actually store it in anywhere you want. But for this one, we're just going to store it in the description. We're just going to store the asset there. Save. Perfect. So right after you finish your action item, you want to create a function. So we're going to go to expand functions, and then you want to create an action function. So click on this right here. We're going to create a new action function. And let's call it the same. Report broken laptop. Here, the type is going to be an action item. There are other types here, but this is what we just want to create an action item. And for the action item, we're going to reference the one we just created, which is called report broken laptop. And there it is. And here, if you go down here, we want to add some UI parameters, but you notice that it doesn't exist yet. So you have to hit save. Oh, you have to give it a condition. Incident.
It's not required to add a condition, but it is required to add a table, is what we meant.
Yeah. Okay, so once you hit save, which I just did, you're going to have this UI parameter and action parameter mapping. And so let's just create two UI parameters. So this one would be called short description. And it's going to be user input. You notice that when I created an item parameter, you notice that I use short underscore description, but for the UI parameter, I said short space description. And I will tell you why we want to do that once we go down the scripting path. So let's close this out. I'm going to create another one called asset. And here, it's going to be user input, but we're going to change it from text to a thing called QR barcode. Perfect. So once you created your two UI parameters, what we want to do is we want to map the parameters to the item parameters. So let's go here and let's do the asset first. So we're done with that. Let me just close this out real quick. And we also have to do the short description. Notice again, there's an underscore there, and then notice this one does not. Okay, so we are done with the function here. So we are done with Studio for now. And what we're gonna do is we need to associate this function with a quick action. And so usually when you do this in Studio, you would map it in the applet, and then what Studio will do is create a thing called a function instance. But since we don't have that ability, we have to do it on platforms. So let's go to platform. And we're going to mobile. And then you'll see this. You see now mobile, and then this system mobile. But since we're modifying the now mobile app, let's go down this kind of this hierarchy tree. So on the navigation, so let me actually show you this. So we're going to go down to the navigation. When you click on it, you notice how there's this navigation tab. So there's home, services, and so forth, right? So there's home, services. And so we want to put the quick action, we want to put the function on the quick action on the home tab. So we're going to click on this. And I'm going to change the scope so that I am in this right scope. Okay. And then once I'm in this home tab, I want to go to this app launcher. So click on that. And you'll notice that when I go to the app launcher, you'll notice that there are things called sections. These are called UI sections. And you'll notice that my to-do list is my task, my request is right here, and popular services. So this body here represents this body here. But as I mentioned, we want to put it up in this section. So this is called a quick action. And this one already has one, but I can get rid of it, but we're going to create a new one.
And just to add to that, in case you're unfamiliar, we used to have a quick action that used to be a floating green button at the bottom right of the mobile app. But for all now mobile clients that uses an iOS device, we had a UI change where it moved the quick action from the bottom right to the top right, as you see on Fu's computer. And that's really to align with Apple's best practices, and so you should expect quick actions on your top right of your device moving forward.
Great. So we're going to create a function instance. And so we're going to create a new one. So here we're just going to call it report broken laptop. And here we want to, the parent table is going to be the applet launcher. This guy right here. And the parent is going to be the home page. Okay, so once we map that, we're going to create the function here. Report broken laptop. And when we display this function, we're just going to call it report broken. This is what the users will see on the quick action. And another important note is on the location, you want to change this to quick action. Hit save. And so here's, now we can reference it. So click on this green button. the save. But that green button is just a save, but you have to save it. You have to update the Apple launcher here too as well. All right, so if I go back to my phone, hold on, let's see what's going on. Oh, I need to log off. Oh, it's not showing up. So let's see what's going on. So on the home, so we have a quick action. Interesting. So let's see if there is a scoping issue.
We can take a look at the action itself too. Maybe the parameters didn't map correctly. Should we take that to, or consider that for troubleshooting?
Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's look at the,
Starting with the action item.
yeah. So it looks correct. New assets.
So you have your item parameters, and then check your UI parameters on the action function.
User inputs, yeah, that's right. So let's do this. Why don't we get rid of these guys? Let's just make it really dummy real quick. And let's yeah.
Oh, is it associated to the right home screen? Did you select the right applet launcher?
Yeah, so it's home page, which is that.
Mhm.
And let's double check to see if, oh, yeah, it's right here. App launcher.
Try open the record real quick. I think we're seeing more fields than we need to. Okay, applet launcher, applet launcher. That home page is wrong, I think. So click I. Open. Oh, can you not change the?
Yeah. So let me go back to here. Let's go back to here.
Oh, that is the right home page. Okay.
That is the right home page.
Yeah.
Let me get rid of this guy. So update. Applet launcher. We should have one only. It's not showing up.
Right. Let's try creating it from scratch again. What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, let's try creating from scratch.
With just one parameter this time, and then we'll add the second parameter to see if it works after that.
Okay, so this one has no parameter. Let's just get rid of this guy real quick. So when we do that, it's just going to get rid of everything, even here as well.
So we have a question from Giodi. He asked, do we need to log it off every time we make changes to Studio or outside of Studio? The answer to that is typically you only need to log off when you make navigation tab changes. So it's really big configurations. You can see more on the mobile implementation guidebook that we have on mobile community. But for changes like adding an action or quick action, you only need to do a refresh by pulling down on the swipe. But right now, Fu's showing a live tutorial on how to troubleshoot this quick action if you don't see it on your mobile app. So he's going to try to create another one from scratch. And
yep. So let's create another one.
Yeah.
Report broken laptop. This is a function instance. And so this is going to be applet launcher. And this is the home screen. And we're going to reference the report, and we're just going to call it report broken laptop with a quick action. Submit on that. Hit OK. Hit update. And it should show up. If not, let's reference one that's already existing. So let's see if this one works. Oh, maybe this one doesn't work. I don't think this one works. Okay. So something's wrong with our function.
I think you should create these action item from scratch instead of just deleting the parameters. Let's just create a new one.
Okay. Let's recreate this whole thing.
We'll speed through it this time.
Yeah. So I'm going to create a new one then instead. Actually, no, let's delete it. Oh, there's an ACO issue. Maybe that's one. Maybe I should just create one from out of Studio. And it seems like there's an ACO issue. So let's just create one then. Report broken laptop. Two. And we're not going to create any item parameters for now. Let's see if we can actually add this function onto the quick action. Oh, I think I know why I did it.
Oh, you did.
Because I didn't do
global.
global.
All right, that's the issue.
That's the issue. That's why.
Go back to your action.
So it actually does work.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a live demonstration on how to troubleshoot your actions. So just a reminder, quick actions require global context. If you set it to record, it's expecting some sort of context within a record. But because it's on a home page, there is no context to reference off of. That's why you would have to set the context to global anytime you create a quick action.
Right. So let's just reuse what we just have. So here's the report broken laptop, and here is the function right here, and this is the mistake. So it was record. For quick action, it has to be global, and that's why it wasn't showing up.
Let's add back in your parameters as well. I think they're empty at the moment.
Right. But let's just make sure that it's there.
I don't think it's going to show up if you don't have.
Oh, because we need
some sort of parameter for an action to work yet.
Yeah.
So add, short description or something on your action item.
Here, let's redo this. Description. And then we're going to do asset. And we're going to map description to short description. And we're going to map description with the asset. So we're done with the action item. Now we're going to go to the item parameter for the function.
The UI parameters for the function.
Yeah, the UI parameters. And we're going to call this asset. We're going to make this a QR.
So by changing the input type to QR barcode, now it expects the user to be able to pull up their native camera and it'll scan the asset tag. So that's kind of the difference here. You have 3 other input types as well. Text would expect the user to type in some text. You also have choice list and search list, which will give a selection or a choice to select from.
Right. So now you have the UI parameter. Now we're going to map it with the item parameter. Get rid of this guy. And then we're going to go to map the short description. So we're going to update that. So now everything's mapped with our parameters. So now we have to go back to the ALP. And we're going to create that. So let's get rid of this guy. So I believe this is the one we just created, this function. Correct primary, quick action. Yep. So since we changed the context to global, so there it is right here. So if I click on this, you notice how we have the short description and then the asset. So the next thing I'll do is I'm going to create a QR code. So if we go to platform, we're going to go to let's see, stockroom. Yeah, so stockroom. And we're going to go click on this table here. And I'm going to find a MacBook. And so let's click on this guy. And I want to create a QR code for this asset tag. So just copy this and just go to Google and say QR generator. And we're just going to do text and paste that in. And here's your QR. And so let's get a copy of that. So right now I'm just mimicking QR that should be on a laptop, like that. So we're done with that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to my laptop. Oh, you don't see my screen. My laptop or my Mac is broken. And when I click on the asset tag, you can see that it's bringing up this camera. And so I'm just going to scan that guy. And there you can see that it's scanning the asset value. So if I hit submit, it's going to create an incident. So if I hit refresh, and there it is. My Mac is broken. So it basically, so that's the basic case. Is that we just created a function to create an incident to report an incident. And so what we're going to do next is
before you go on to the next use case, do you want to tap into the record? We can. So I think what's really helpful here is, as an end user or as an employee, if you have a really long serial barcode that's on a laptop, for example, you don't actually have to type in those 12 characters. You'd be able to use your scan asset tag to input that into the description or the comments or work notes, whatever field that you want to configure on that table. And that gets passed over to the agent. So that's one use case that Fu just showed you on how to use or leverage the scan asset barcode. And now you can, we'll transition to the next use case, which is a scripting use case, and Fu can kind of go into details on that.
Right. So we just created an incident function for self-reporting using the QR feature. But what if there are no MacBooks available in the stockroom? So you notice here, you notice how this one is in stock and is available. So let's take the incident function up a level by checking the stockroom before creating an incident. So by default, in Studio, if you go to the action item, this is declarative right here. So when it's declarative, it performs a thing called a write back action to one table. So here's the write back, and it's performing this action to one table. But in order for us to check the status, we have to jump to the asset table, this ALM_asset table. So if you're using declarative, you cannot do that. And so the only way to do that is to convert this type to script. And I will walk you through this whole process with you on how to do the checking, and then how to display something to the user. So if you haven't done any scripting, this will be a good example for you. But with scripting, you can basically go to multiple tables, grab information, and build some sort of logic around it. And so in this case, let's start with a very simple displaying of a message. So there's a thing called GS. When you type in GS, this is a glide system, and basically you can just add a message right here. And I'm just going to say successfully created an incident, like so. And so this, in theory, should say something, but not create anything. So you notice how I'm just displaying a message, but I did not do anything else. So let's go back to here. So if I hit refresh, and I click on this, and so here. So I'm just going to do tests. It's not going to create it. I'm going to assign that. And when I hit submit, it's going to say successfully created incident. And that's what we have. So now you've successfully created a script. Now let's do the checking part, okay? So Let's get rid of this guy. And so let's, the first thing we'll do is look up asset. And this is a comment. And I'm going to do var q. And this, I'm just creating a variable. And we're just going to do record. And this is where we create an object for the table. So I'm going to look into this table right here, ALM underscore asset. So it's going to be ALM underscore asset. And we're going to add a comment there, semicolon. And then we're going to do, we're going to check on three things. We're going to check on the asset tag. And then we're also going to check on the state to make sure that it's in stock. And then if it's available, and it's a thing called substate. And I'll show you how to maneuver around these tables. So we're going to write a query. So add query. And we're going to do the asset tag first. Oh, so it's going to accept two parameters. So the first parameter is the parameter of the field of the table. So here it says asset tag. So let's click on this guy. And this is how you figure out what the field's called. So we want to search for asset tag. So if you right click here, you see the thing called show. It says asset underscore tag. This is the column, the table column. So you got to make sure that you're referencing this instead, asset underscore tag. So asset underscore tag. And we want to check it against this asset that is coming from the user input. So in order to do that, there's a thing called input object right here. So you want to do is input dot asset. And this is how you get the information that's coming from the mobile phone into your script. So let's check that. And then we also have to check the state. Now, again, it's not really called state, so you have to be careful. So you have to go right click, and you see it says install underscore status. Okay, so you have to do qgr dot add query install underscore status. And we're gonna give it a value. We want to make sure that it is in stock. But you notice that it's not, you can't say in stock, because that's not how it, you can't give it the label name. You have to dive in and right click and then hit configure dictionary. Hold on, sorry. So let's go back. Right click here and say configure dictionary. And here, this install status is actually a choice field list. So you notice how in stock is the label. We don't care about that. We actually care about the value. So you have to say 6. So this is 6. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is check for the state. They call it substate here, but let's check it again. So it's called substatus. Okay. So again, add query. Again, this is because you have this thing called, because you have this choice list, you can't just give it the value. You have to dive into it to go to configure dictionary. And then look down here to see what it's actually called. So available is actually, you actually called it available. Now there's 2, which is fine because there's a dependent field, dependent value here. So we know that our in stock means 6, so we're going to use this one. So it's available. Like so. Okay, and once you do that, this is the search, and then once you're finished searching, you give it the conditions. You have to execute it. So it's gr query. Next, you want to like do a condition where gr.next, the next available record, and if that exists, we're just going to wrap this into here. And we're just going to display it. And if it doesn't work out, if we can't find it, we're going to have another we're going to say gs dot error information, and we're going to say something like, sorry, laptop is not available. And this is a ordering and shipping will take additional 2 weeks, like so. And I think that looks so we're waiting for it to save. Okay, it seems like there's a missing tab. That's syntax. Okay. So now I'm just going to do, report an issue. Let's go do, this won't create anything. I'm just going to do a lookup. And when I hit submit, you notice how it says failed. Now, when you're doing scripting, there's going to be times when you mess up with the typo and stuff. And so how you can do this is you can, the way to troubleshoot this is you can just go to platform and let's look up what we've done wrong. So you can go to system log and go down to all. And you notice that there's a warning here. It says, here is my write back function. Here's my lookup asset. And it's starting here. And it's saying something about there's some error right here. So something is wrong with line 4 right here. But you notice how it doesn't get caught here. So what you can do is you can go to ServiceNow, glide record, and let's do create new record. And here's the issue. So if you can go to our developer site, there's a thing called new that I forgot to enter. So this log tool will basically tell you where it's failing. And then you can actually go to the documentation and see that I'm missing this new keyword. So let's type this in. Save. Okay. Let's do the same thing again. And we're going to do that. And it should display a message. Oh, you notice how there's a thing called this operation here. So you just have to, what basically this is called cross scope privileges. And if you do it once, it's going to create it for you automatically on the back end. So don't worry about this. You can see that we successfully called create an incident. So let me talk about what this is real quick. So if you go to cross scope application right here, what platform did was, because you're making the API call, it's going to create the necessary operations for you. So I think I called it QR. What did I call it? I called it QR asset. Or maybe it's here. So basically what it did was it created a QR asset scope for you, and it gives you a read for this table. So once you do it one time, it's going to create it automatically in the background. So so don't worry about that. Once I do it again, this message will disappear. So let's try to cause a failure. So I'm going to cause. We know that 6 is in stock. So if I do like 9, which is not in stock. And if I do the same thing, and I do that, it should fail. So sorry, your laptop is not available. Ordering shipping will take additional 2 weeks, which is, it falls under this condition right here. Okay, so now we have a lookup. And what we're gonna do now is we're going to create a record in this block right here. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna create a variable. And we're gonna do, now I'm not gonna make the same mistake. I'm gonna say new glide record. And we're going to create an incident. So this is gonna be the incident table. And once we create this object, we're just going to map the fields and in this table into into this input field from the user. So remember earlier I said that you want to do underscore, because if you didn't have underscore, you wouldn't be able to reference this item parameter. So again, you have to say it's all in this input object. So you say input dot short description underscore description, and then same thing with asset. This is going to be called description because we're mapping it. Again, let me show you. So if I go back to new, you notice how the description is going to be mapped to this guy. So let's go back to script. So description is going to be mapped to input dot asset. And then once you do that, the last thing you want to do is a thing called gr insert, and this will create a record in the incident table. But let's take it up another notch. So let's go to asset. Oh, my stock. And let's go to MacBook. So this, I want to show, display this, this asset. So instead of saying just doing something generic, like successfully create an incident, I want to dynamically say something about this incident. So I'm going to say successfully created an incident, and I'm going to say to replace your, and I'm going to say, I'm going to do plus, and I'm going to do gr new dot. And basically all I need to do is get the display name. So again, we don't know what the actual column name is. So if we want to display anything, we right click here and it's display underscore name. So let's go back here, say display underscore name. Hit save. All right. So let's do this again. So when I click on, so now I'm going to say my MacBook is not working due to QR. There it is. Submit the asset. Oh, I forgot something. I forgot to put this back to 6. So let's go back to 6 because that's in stock. So now it should work. So if I submit this again, you have 3 messages. That's because of the cross scope. You notice that because we're going to incident, it's going to show here. Oh, and something's wrong here. It says successfully created an incident to replace your, and it says undefined. That means that this is not referencing correctly. So let's take a look. Oh, I don't know if you notice a mistake. So this gr new represents the object of incident. I do not want to do gr new. I want to do gr, which is this object, because this display name is in the asset. So you gotta do that. Hit save again. So these are just good troubleshooting steps that you can do. So let's refresh this again. And I'm gonna do my please order a new laptop. And I'm gonna scan. Here. And I hit submit. So you notice how, now you see this, the message is coming out with that, but you notice that there was some like weird comments. I don't know if you notice, I'm not sure if you noticed that. That's because this add info message can only display text only. And when you have special characters, like this guy right here, this double quote, it's not going to display correctly. It's going to display some ASCII. So you can actually get rid of that via script 2. So there's a thing called regular expression you can apply to this object, but you don't have to actually write it by hand. If you go to our community site, if you do ServiceNow, let's say ServiceNow dynamically, let's say remove special characters. We have people who will just write solutions for you on our community page. So let's go to this one.
We are going to go a few minutes over time, but we'll open up to Q&A just shortly. So if you want to stick around, we'll open up to Q&A in just a few minutes.
So this person has the same kind of issue, and we're just going to take this function right here, this replace that, and append it to this guy right here to get rid of the special character. So there is another, like so. And let's do this again to remove that special character. You. As you can see right here, it says order your laptop without the special ASCII. Again, you will get rid of the scoped privilege. If I do it again, for example, that message will disappear. So there it is.
Oh, we lost your, oh, there it is. Okay.
There it is. Okay, so that concludes the our QR demo. Again, you can, if you get into issues, you can go to the system logs to determine where you made the mistake. You can also use our developer community if you have scripting issues to look at examples. And if you have a special case, you can always go to our community to find solutions before you implement your own, as you can see what I did with here.
Okay, sweet. Thank you, Fu, for showing us that demo. We're going to go ahead and open up to the audience. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask us in the chat now. And if there's any other questions in the chat that we haven't already answered, I can bring them up here as well. And then Mark, yeah, we'll take a look at your idea on the portal. It will be tracked and it will definitely get, we'll definitely further discussion on it in our internal meetings. So thank you for sharing your feedback and your ideas with us. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask it now. We have a question from Jyoti. Would we get a recording for this session? Yes, so this will be uploaded to YouTube on our Mobile App Academy series. Here, I can share my screen really quick just to show you what that looks like. If you go to YouTube and then you look up ServiceNow Mobile App Academy, you'll actually see the 7 or 8 part series. Just click open up this playlist and you'll see all of our videos here. And they'll get uploaded usually within a few days after each live recording, or at most a week later. And this is under the ServiceNow community. Any other questions? Okay, if no other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you found this session informative and helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to keep posting on our mobile community site so that we can explore other configurations in future mobile app academies. We're gonna have another session in 2 weeks showing you an example of how we can move around and consolidate workflows all into a single app. So if you had just a few use cases on Agent and you wanted to bring it over to Now Mobile or vice versa, that is possible, and we'll do a live configuration in the next couple weeks. And make sure to keep following our mobile community site to get the latest dates and information. One other question from Jyoti: how does one become a ServiceNow admin or dev? Just to clarify, Jyoti, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. Fu, do you?
Yeah, so So I mean, if you have your own instance, you can be an admin. Are you meaning like ServiceNow certified admin, or because like once you have access to the instance, you have you have certain roles, and that's probably an admin role for you.
And then Jyoti, you can unmute yourself. I allowed you, gave you permissions to talk, so you can, if you unmute, you can ask your question directly. No, you're still on here. I'll unmute you.
Hi, I'm sorry, there's another meeting going on. So I wanted to know, like, how does one become developer? Like, I wanted to create some application using ServiceNow, but from that perspective, the mobile, like, I missed couple of minutes part, so I don't know how do we connect those both. Like, I create some. I have used ServiceNow and as system analyst, but I wanted to grow to be a developer. So how does that happen?
Yeah. So do you have an instance to a?
Yes.
You do. Okay. If you want to be a developer, we have lots of information on how to build stuff. So we have a developer community,
Right.
and they teach you step by step on like how to build. Well, basically you can learn how to build like functions and widgets and so forth. Everything is available for you in our community, and even in our training sites.
Okay.
We have labs that does all this stuff.
Okay.
And then for mobile specifically, we have a whole community where with beginner tutorials to developer training to certification labs, all on our mobile community. So you can check that out as well. We conveniently put it all on under the featured content, everything that you would need to know if you're starting with mobile from scratch. Definitely check that out as well.
Okay, sure. Thank you, David. Thank you.
Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Thank you guys for joining us in today's session. Hope to see you at the next Mobile App Academy.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Cheers.